you find yourself in repeated cycles of defeat and rejection and failure, it's time for you to realize that, okay, maybe I do not know the things that I think I know. Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Eniola and you can call me the Global MC. On this channel, I take you through the international student experience. I also give you sneak peeks and tidbits about my life and talk to you about the things that interest me. I'm an international journalist and I currently live in South Bend, Indiana. So if you're in the area, let's meet up and connect. But in the meantime, on this episode, I'm talking about something I heard this week. And this is a caveat. This is not a judgment. This is what I think. This is what this is. This is my opinion. These are my thoughts on one of the I Said What I Said episodes that I listened to on sunk costs and deferred dreams. There were a few things that I've been noticing ever since I started listening to this podcast. And the number one thing is that people need Jesus. I didn't say people need to go to church, but that they need Jesus, the person of Jesus. They need to build that relationship with Jesus. There's a lot of brokenness that I hear on the podcast. There's a lot of hopelessness that I hear on the podcast. There's a lot of helplessness and just tiredness and just betrayal. And I'm like, Jesus, these people need you. And so I'm encouraging anyone who's ever sent a dilemma into the podcast, who's ever, listened and felt like, oh, I can relate to what these people just talked about. You need Jesus and you should check him out. God is waiting for you. This is not a Christian blog or vlog. This is a Christian who has a vlog, and I'm encouraging you to check out Jesus because it's not just about the things that church has made it to be. Jesus wants a personal relationship with you, and the offer still stands. That's what I'm going to leave it at. The offer still stands. So on to the particular episode that I wanted to talk about today on sunk costs and deferred dreams. They were talking about, pivoting and the cost of deciding to pivot, and when the pivot does not work and you now have to go back to what you were doing before. And there was just a lot of, what would I say, tiredness that I could feel and sense from the episode. And I just wanted to come on here on this vlog today to give you guys a word of encouragement. There are ways to pivot, and just because you feel like you want to pivot or you feel like this is not the industry that you want to be in, there are steps to take before you actually make the actual step to move away from what you already know and go into uncharted waters. There are things that must be in place. You cannot just say, okay, I want to become a hairdresser today and quit your job as a banker and say you're going to make hair when you've not gone for training to make hair, when you've not done apprenticeship under somebody who has an hair business. There are things that must be done before the day of battle, and so there's preparations that people must begin to think about, not just pivots because everybody else seems to do it successfully. There's groundwork that must go in before you can do that successfully. And I know that there are people who may have done the groundwork, but it just didn't work out as they planned or as they thought it would. Like the podcast people said, FK and Jola, they said, pick up your bags and, go back to your father's house, literally. Not go back to your father's house, but go back to the thing that that was guaranteed, that was giving you money, and maybe re-strategize while you're there, because they were talking about, needing a win. And that leads me to my next point on this episode about how people think that rejection or failure is not a part of the process. And something that having repeated strings of failure, repeated strings of rejection, that leads a lot of people to something called learned helplessness. And people feel like nothing they can do is ever going to bring them out of this rut that they now find themselves in. But like I said, it is a learned thing. It is not real, or you can unlearn it. Because when you're a child, you can do all the exploits you want to do, you think about. But as you get older and the consequences and the repercussions and the sunk costs begin to bear on your decisions, you're less likely to want to find yourself in a place of rejection. You're less likely to want to find yourself in a place of failure. But all of those things, rejection and failure, are not things that you should be scared of. They are part and parcel of the journey. There is nobody that has succeeded in life that has not failed multiple times. There is nobody that has succeeded in life that has not been rejected multiple times. One of them was talking about how there have been seasons or experiences in their lives where there was no moral, there was no lesson. But I believe that there is no experience in your life that does not leave you without a lesson. Whether it's a good lesson or a bad lesson, a lesson was learned. The only question is, did you learn the lesson? And if you did, good. If you did not, go back and think about your experience and pick out the lesson from it. Because if you think there is no lesson, the reason you think there was no lesson is because you did not learn the lesson, but the lesson is there, and it is a part of the curriculum for your next project and for the next failure. It's a part of the curriculum for the next rejection, or if in your case it's now time to succeed, it's a part of the curriculum for your success in the long run. There is no failure, there is no rejection that should leave you without a lesson. If you did not pick up the lesson, go back and read through, or just think about the experience in totality and find what the lesson is. And there's something else that came to mind as I was listening, was just the importance of coaching, and life coaching, mindset coaching in particular. A lot of people go at life alone, or they go at life with their uncles and their aunties and their dads and their moms, but they don't really rely on any industry experts. They don't rely on coaches that have gone to school to learn how to coach people into greatness. And maybe coaching is not exactly a thing in Nigeria yet, but it is so vital. If you find yourself in repeated cycles of defeat and rejection and failure, it's time for you to realize that, okay, maybe I do not know the things that I think I know. Maybe there are things that I do not know that I need to know, and I'm not going to know those things in and of myself. You need somebody on the outside to help you fine tune. You need somebody on the outside to help you point, or to help you reason out the problems, the challenges, where you're missing it, where you're going wrong, and to help you make a new game plan. So coaching is very important. If you've never thought about it, really begin to consider it, especially if you live in Nigeria. Something else they talked about was how the Nigerian culture and the Christian culture in Nigeria is, God is a God of immediate success versus a God of process. But God is a God of both. It does not do one without the other. Immediate success God is Saul. Saul immediately became king. There was no process to Saul's kingship. But for David had process before he actually became king. Also, Elijah and Elisha. When Elijah prayed for the woman who was hungry, or they said, God, make food for me, and then I'll pray for you, and then you have more food later. That's immediate success. But Elisha told the woman who was looking for money to pay back her husband's debt that she should gather jars and pour oil and sell oil. So that's process. God, maybe that's what they're teaching other people in their churches, but immediately is not the only way God works. Most times God works in process. It doesn't only work with immediate answers or immediate responses. There is process in God, And I just wanted to come on here to tell you that. All right, what am I watching? I'm watching Eve. It's a Korean drama on Netflix. What am I listening to? Kilo More by Great Man Tackett on Spotify. Thank you guys for watching this episode. Let me know what your thoughts are. Drop a comment, like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.